Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. It's Friday, it's 5pm, and Brad blew my mind on Monday because it was the first time we'd actually seen each other this year when we did our first shoot.
That's true. I thought you were going to say for some other reason I blew your mind, but yeah.
Every meeting with you is mind-bending in some regard, as people will know from watching the video.
We had a good day. For sure.
We did, yeah. We filmed three giant, exciting... I would say 2 giant, exciting videos, one of which is actually going live next week, and another one which I still haven't fully decided whether we'll publish.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we filmed something which I talked to my girlfriend about afterwards, and I was like, it's the most embarrassed I've been drinking something, and it's the worst tasting thing I've ever drunk. I felt like a bit like in Game of Thrones where everyone's shouting shame, shame, and they're throwing eggs and manure and stuff at you as you walk down the streets of what is it, Casterly Rock? No, whatever it is, King's Landing. Because we did something abhorrent with beer and with non-beer, which I'm just I'm on the fence with you as well. But I think we should put it out. Maybe
it was your idea. You're saying this like you were forced into it.
I think I seem to remember being held at gunpoint and you forcing me to come up with this idea, Johnny.
Well, I mean, I came up with the idea of doing the Guinness mixes. You're the one that came out with 2 very
low rent.
Yeah. Ideas. And so
just
to fill everybody in,
barrel.
so we were filming at the Beer Merchant's Tap, and we did the first 2, which is Glassware and our West Valletta episode of the Trappist series. And then we did essentially Guinness cocktails, by which point the bar had opened. And so we had, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 people sat in the bar basically watching us film while Brad got out of his corner shop bag
it's a nice
bottles
bag
of blue WKD.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're telling them what it was, yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
BWKD,
we need a soft landing for them. We need to gradually feed in this idea that, as I say in the video, I think Craft Beer Channel has jumped the shark.
Well, maybe, but it's all a bit of fun, Johnny. Although I'm not sure how fun it actually was because it, potentially didn't like. Well, I've never tried blue WKD before.
You were quite excited to try it, and the excitement, I could see it fade from your face. Like literally just sort of drip like melting wax.
I told a lot of because I went to art school. I didn't go to university as such. It was art school, it was Central St Martin's School of Art, which is now part of the University of Arts London. So I have a bachelor's in art, but in graphic design and animation. But it wasn't really like. Sorry, if you can hear that buzzing, I've got a monitor on. I haven't got. That's not a sex toy. That's a monitor, guys. Medical device. So
I don't think anybody's mind went, oh, that's Brad's sex toy. They probably assumed it was like a drill or something in the background.
It's very buzzy if a mic picked that up. That's made me lose my train of thought. So, yes, I text some of my friends a photo of the monstrosity and was like, "This is the worst thing I've ever put in my mouth." And they were like, "Oh yeah," and they started talking about horrendous drinks that they drank at uni, red wine and Coca-Cola, all kinds of crazy things that I've never heard of before were consumed.
Wait, is your point here that you didn't do that kind of thing at art school?
We didn't do that kind of thing. No, we weren't. I mean, we're not laddie guys, but there were no lads at art school.
But Brad, I mean, the stories you've told me about your drinking exploits while at art school are insane. Far more ridiculous than any of mine.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying we didn't.
There's a cognitive dissonance here. Are you saying you only got drunk on very classy stuff?
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Classy stuff or free stuff at art events and things and such. So, you know, we weren't in London. I wasn't going to uni nights or whatever where people get dressed up in weird school outfits and, you know, drink blue drinks and whatever. I didn't do any of that. I was going to a Winkle Picker wearing new rave sporting.
Okay, I'm starting to see where you're coming from.
Stuff.
Yeah.
It was a different vibe, man.
You were going to hipster hangouts of East London while I was at Arena nightclub in Exeter drinking. Other people would have been drinking WKD. I actually drank Guinness because that was the lagers were always terrible. So yeah.
That's it, man.
Made you feel pretty heavy when you were dancing, though. I'm not going to lie.
Oh yeah, pints of Guinness on the dance floor, not the one. But
it wasn't even pints; it was cans where they had the little plate that it would agitate it and then they'd tip it in a glass.
Oh wow,
yeah,
I know what you mean. We didn't drink all those strange drinks. Having watched things like Big Boys, which is good on Channel 4, Fresh Meat, which is also pretty good. They're both like classic uni experiences. And I look at
how'd you know you didn't go?
Well, I did. I mean, technically it is a university, but it's art school, so it's different vibes. I watched them with a sort of reverence to someone like a looking at something in a goldfish bowl, because I didn't actually experience that kind of thing. It was a bit different. Maybe that's just my perspective. I don't know. I'm not saying it was any better or any worse. It's just when I watch things about people going to uni, I'm like, yeah, mine wasn't like that.
Do you know, I think it might be more of a London thing than an art school thing, because I went to uni in Exeter and university in London, and I mean I was a little bit older because I was doing a master's in London, but it was a very different night out that you had. You went to live music and you went to cocktail places and you went to like old beautiful boozers. When I was in Exeter, I mean, there were some old beautiful boozers, but there wasn't a lot of live music to speak of, even though I was in a band. There wasn't a lot of there wasn't a classy way to spend your evening on a budget in Exeter, really. So it might be a London thing.
I think it's definitely a London
or a big city thing,
by the sounds of it. Yeah. But I mean, I knew people that went to Leeds and all sorts of stuff, and they got absolutely hammered all the time and drank weird, crazy stuff. And yeah, like lots of northern universities and even just ones in Kent and places that just seemed a bit.
Maybe I was just boring then. Just drinking a Guinness quietly in the corner of a nightclub, I don't really like the lagers on tap here.
Maybe we were an oddity, but I don't know. I just think it's different. But I still had a great time. I just didn't drink like a pint of red wine and Coke or anything insane
or blue
like
WKD.
That. I've never passed my lips in my life. Blue WKD, any WKD.
I'm not sure I'd actually had blue WKD. I'd had I think it was called VK or something, like the even cheaper version.
VK.
I remember,
right.
Yeah, I remember that being on offer. Anyway, this is supposed to be a beer podcast, and we've managed to find the cheapest thing to talk about that has absolutely. Actually, it was malt based, wasn't it? Because we were talking about how that's a tax dodge.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes. So that was our Monday. The first time we saw each other, we drank pints of blue WKD.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. And all I can describe the flavour as is blue, because it didn't really. It said mixed berry, but I think they must have made a mix up with the berries, because it just tasted like blue to me. I don't know what blue tastes like. Blue tastes like sadness, Johnny.
Terrible
tastes
stuff.
Like, Yeah, horrendous.
But the actual video, that if we do put it out, does have 2 semi-legit cocktails in it that are famous and done quite frequently with Guinness. You can see what the video is supposed to be. We'll see whether it sees the light of day and whether it makes sense. But yeah, so that was our first shoot day of the year, which is bonkers because, we didn't do a huge amount of content towards the end of last year because of my book. And I bring that up because I literally handed in the last chapter yesterday.
Well, hey, that's very exciting, mate. Congratulations.
It is out of my life.
Awesome.
Until the changes come back from the editors.
Yes.
And I saw a cover.
No way. You did send me some sketches of a cover.
Yeah.
Which I did. It must have been V.5 or something you sent me. Very sketchy.
Yeah.
But,
super sketchy. And now, it's still super sketchy, but it now makes a bit more sense. So
awesome.
I'm hoping I'll be able to share that. I reckon in the next couple of weeks, maybe by March.
Oh wow!
And then the
exciting.
pre-sales will start, and I'll start talking about the book endlessly again, as if I've stopped.
You haven't really let up, have you, Johnny?
No,
to be honest,
no, I haven't. I need this. I need this book to work. So that's the good news this week. There's been lots of bad news this week in the beer world, hasn't there?
Dude, I mean, yeah, it's not great out there, Johnny. Things that we thought were going to be okay are not okay.
Oh, I don't think I thought they'd be okay.
I had some hope, but yeah, it's like worst scenario kind of thing.
Yeah, so we're talking about Breel here, which is an investment company. Which when I first saw the name, I was like, "That's a weird name." Are they trying to say like "Be Real" or something? No, it's just a portmanteau of the 2 founders' names, as if it's like a band you're in when you were 12.
What are their names? Brian and Eel. Brian and Neil.
It's their surnames. What? I can't even remember. But anyway, these are 2 guys that are buying up all the breweries in distress. They bought Black Sheep, Brick, Brew by Numbers, and I'm missing another one that they've bought. Supposedly, rescuing them from the brink. But this week it was announced that the production of is it Brick and Brew by Numbers and moving up to Black Sheep?
Yeah, so I believe they might have already moved the brew kit of Brick up there, and then they're moving Brew by Numbers up in the next 3 weeks or so.
Right,
I think, and obviously massive redundancies throughout.
Yeah, I mean. It's horrendous news, There was hope that the purchase might protect lots of jobs, and that's not necessarily going to be the case now. It's also super naive of them, given that they've removed those breweries from their, certainly with Brick, which had a big following in Peckham, they've removed it from their core market now. It makes
so they're starting from scratch. Zero sense, right? It's going to be Brick in name only. Like there's nothing Brick about it anymore. If the founders have gone potentially at some point, all the brew team and everyone, all the team. I think they're keeping a sales exec, a sales whatever for London. I think I read maybe 2 of them to try and sell the beer down south. Yeah, but it's like that's just really bad, isn't it? Like sack everyone off apart from some guys that might be able to shift some beer in the location that they originally are from.
Well, I mean, it is from the old regional brewery in the UK playbook, and that you buy up a competitor, basically shut it down till it's just a label, and then sell that label to the people that still care. But it's just weird that it's because it's not a brewery that's doing it. There's no gain from buying up the competitor, so they must just be getting absolutely silly money. Silly deal on the actual brewery, and then thinking, well, we can make our money back on that by just selling X amount of beer for X amount of years, and then the brand probably dies.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, these venture capitalists, they buy stuff cheap, they consolidate it, don't they? So, financially, they're consolidating everything together into one site. They're obviously going to have less staff, less expenses all round, less teams running everything, and they'll probably just have salespeople that are going like buy Brick, buy Brew by Numbers, buy Black Sheep, like the same person in same region, whatever. So,
but what I'm saying is that's been proven to fail in.
I know,
but literally every single example in the brewing industry. It's never worked. It might work financially, possibly for them, but it's never been a long term kind of move. So that's what's a real shame. It basically shows that they have no interest in the longevity of these brands and the jobs that they provide, they've just got interest in making a return, which I guess we shouldn't be surprised by, but it's just a real shame to see.
When they were sort of giving off signals that they weren't going to be moving them, right? At one point, they kind of sent out signals going, we're not, like, I
nothing
feel like
will change,
it's
kind of thing.
disingenuous.
But I think that's just legal talk, really, isn't it? It's just trying to stop the news cycle from constantly picking up on it.
Anyway, it's really bad news. I feel so sorry for Brick and Boo by Numbers in particular, just because they're both South London institutions, and I'm going to feel the loss in my area.
I think London's been struggling for a long time brewing wise. It sort of lost its title as the sort of the home of British, certainly English brewing, a good couple of years ago. I remember thinking pre-pandemic, sort of being like, what breweries am I really excited about in London these days? And the only one was Colonel. And you're like, well, that's been the case since 2009. So nothing. We had this big change. We had all these exciting breweries coming, and they sort of disappeared again. And I guess Pressure Drop would be up there as well, but that's about it. There's lots of small guys that I haven't investigated fully for a while.
Yeah, I mean, at Anspach, I'm always pleasantly surprised whenever I pay a visit, and obviously drink London Black. But everything else they're banging out non-trendy styles, which are just absolutely incredible to drink. And they're kind of doing their own thing, aren't they? So always got a lot of time for them.
Yeah, but I guess I was very excited about London Black as a release, and now it's it's part of every month I'll have a couple of London Blacks, but it's not something I'm excited to see. Where's the innovation, the excitement, the what craft beer has always been about, which has been about either pushing the boundaries or about going down and digging into tradition and discovering new things. Like London as an innovative hub for craft beer died 4 or 5 years ago, and now the powerhouses of it, the ones that were used to be very, very innovative, are being bought out and closed down by investment corporations run by people with so little imagination that when they name themselves, all they could come up with is, these are our names, but combined.
It makes me think of D-Ream. Things can only get
Be Real,
better,
the cover band of D-Ream.
Yeah, Be Real. I could imagine, a covers band, Be Real. It's that kind of vibe. It's very naff, Johnny. It's naff. I'm going to be mean to him now because I don't like them.
I don't like them either. But that's not the end of the bad news. So obviously that is horrible, and we hoped for the best to start. This time we have to do the same because Adnams are seeking private equity investment due to tricky finances. So they've had to go out to the market. If you don't know much about finance, and I'm not really one among them, but having worked in the beer industry for a long time and seen this, if your projections are looking bad, your cash flow is looking bad, or whatever it is, you can go out basically and see who might want to invest. And there's whole magazines and forums and breakfast clubs that happen at hotels we can never go to, where you start pitching to people and that kind of stuff. And that's what Adnams is going through right now. Going, we've got a solid, sustainable, successful business, but things have gone a bit wrong of late. And if you listen to this podcast, you don't need us to list all the myriad things that have gone wrong recently for all brewers, let alone regional cask ale brewers. And so they're basically trying to sell a chunk of their business for some money because they're a bit worried about themselves. And that's from one of the most forward-looking but also most historic and innovative brewers in the country is a terrifying sort of, what's the word? Is it a bellwether for what the industry's going through right now? They've got a big pub estate. They own their own brewery, their own land that they're brewing in and have done for hundreds of years. They produce Ghost Ship, one of the biggest and most award-winning beers in the world. They're nailing the growth category, which is low alcohol, with their Ghost Ship 0.5. Everything from an external perspective is looking brilliant.
Yeah.
And even they underneath are struggling.
The branding is great. I think they sort of straddle the traditional with the very modern. They feel like they're relevant. The experiential stuff when you go to Southwold, if you get to go around the brewery, and all incredible. The hotels we've been lucky enough to stay in, amazing. Like they don't skimp on anything when you're there. I think the experience and quality of everything is fantastic. So yeah, it does. It's very sad to hear that. They've been going for 152 years as their sort of current guys, but they're older than that for sure. And that it says a lot, doesn't it? If you can, appear to be that much part of a region as well, because they're kind of the biggest thing in Suffolk and Norfolk, I would say, in terms of beer. Like when you're out and about, you always kind of look for Ghost Ship and Adnams. You see an Adnams pub, you're like, that's going to be a good pub. It's not a place that's void of money either, right? It's quite a wealthy area. It's hugely commercial in the summertime with tourists and stuff.
Well, I imagine that might be a slight issue and could point to cash flow problems, because you will be hugely seasonal on the coast of Suffolk and Norfolk. So, I would say, it's hugely affluent, but I'd also say that probably if you go to Southwold in February, if you went now, it would probably be a bit of a... Well, actually, we went in January last time. And
I don't think it was too much of a ghost town. It was quiet, but it wasn't like these towns in Cornwall where everyone it's just second homes, and like no one can afford to live there anymore. He's local. I don't think it's like that. Yeah, but it's man, that's like one of my favourite things we did last year was the Adams film. It was just fantastic to be there.
Yeah. I entered it into the Fortnum and Mason Awards for best broadcast. We'll see how we do there. I'm not holding my breath, but I love that video and I love that brewery as well. And I hope that they find the funding, and I hope that they don't have to compromise to get it, because what's so great about Adams is the complete lack of compromise. Yeah,
exactly. I think I would even potentially put some money into a crowdfunder if they went down that route.
I think they need a lot more than that, mate.
Well, yeah, oh, God.
I don't think they want $500,000. Not a business that size. That won't plug the gap. So yeah, bleak beer news out there right now. However, this is the week of love.
Oh,
is it the week of love? I don't know. Valentine's Day yesterday. Yesterday? God, I should know. It's this week sometime.
The week of made up bloody days by card
such
companies.
A romantic.
That just
you're all about the love, Bradley. You're always saying it, and then it comes to Valentine's Day, and are you like Valentine's Day should be every day? Is that your?
Yeah, I just don't think we need to. I'm not sure about Valentine's Day as a thing. I think I'm a bit cynical about it. Plus, I did. We and my girlfriend did go out yesterday, and I think I got food poisoning when I was out, and I got really stressed as well, because it's a very stressful day to go out on Valentine's Day. There's a lot of pressure involved.
It's a strange day to choose if you're not going for Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Like we went out and had some cash food. I managed to go to Supernova Burgers, which is like the hypest burger place in London.
Yeah, how was that?
Well, I thought it was great. We had half a house cheeseburger each, half fries, so we didn't eat very much. And then later on, we went to like this place called Japes, which is a deep pan pizza place. We had like a real stringy pizza. Again, half a pizza shared it. But I felt absolutely terrible when I was coming home. And I haven't felt quite right since. So I'm not saying it's Supernova or the other one, but something.
How about
it's
yesterday. Having a pizza and a burger on the same day?
But we're talking like a small amount, not like a meal. I didn't really have a meal. I had like half a meal. And I ate sensible apart from that. But yeah, and I didn't drink either. We're gonna have a few beers around Soho, and then I'd started to feel unwell, so we had to break it off a bit early. Anyway, so I would say I'm not a massive fan of Valentine's Day after all of that. Did you do anything for Valentine's Day, Johnny?
No.
I got Kirsty a giant Toblerone, an orange Toblerone, because we had one of those a while back.
So you went to an airport?
We both. Well, do you know what? I managed to find it, just like a rogue one in a small Tesco. The other day, I spotted it. I was thinking orange Toblerone as I walked in. I looked in the chocolate aisle. No Toblerone. Then I got near the counter to queue up. Just happened to look up high to the right of me and spotted a rogue orange Toblerone just up high. And I just grabbed it and I was like, I'm having that. Used my Tesco club card, Johnny. Got it a right bargain, mate. An absolute bargain.
So it was...
Who says romance
it was
is
reduced
dead?
for Tesco Club Card members.
Yeah. Oh, we're talking £4.50 instead of about £6, Johnny.
Yeah,
that's love. That is romance right there. Buddy.
I mean, I should say I did do something. We did stuff for my daughter because we're trying to teach her.
Yeah.
You know what Valentine's Day is. So I was in a card factory at 6 p.m. on Tuesday buying an inflatable heart.
Nice.
Which is only slightly less romantic than a cut price Toblerone from Tesco.
Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty good. We went to Bar Italia in Soho, which is like a really old school, like 1950s Italian cafe. Very cool. They had love hearts everywhere, and that was the only other thing I ate while I was out, Johnny. I had a nata tart, a custard tart. So I don't. Now I'm thinking, could it have been that? Who knows?
You said earlier you ate sensibly otherwise. So you had a burger,
yeah, half a burger,
a custard tart, and a pizza.
A whole custard tart. And
felt
a
bit
pizza,
unwell, and you're like, I think it's food poisoning.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, let's talk about the video. So this week's video was the second episode of our brewing bonanza. It was an absolute bonanza with the one and only Omnipollo.
Yeah, it was we rounding up the Brad's Breakfast content now. After
Indeed.
a year or however long it's been.
Yeah, I guess it's been nearly 2 years.
Yeah,
well, so March 2021 we went. So no, sorry, 18 months since we did the homebrew and first visited Omnipollo. We finally brewed and tasted the final beer. Most of that video was coffee tasting. In fact, almost all of it was coffee tasting, which I think made for a nice change.
Yeah, definitely. You and Alexander trying some wild Sommelier World Championship Award winning or competition level unique coffees. I'd watch it, Johnny. I'd watch it, that's for sure. Yeah, it was good stuff.
Yeah. He's got a very calming, for a man who slings caffeine for a living, a very calming, smooth demeanour.
100%. Who's Raddle in the comments said, the soothing tones of Alexander's voice make me want to ask him to read me a bedtime story. I agree. I think he was incredibly sort of zen-like, wasn't he? You'd think someone who ran a coffee business would be jittery, like a frontline sort of in the trenches. Someone who's got shell shock from being at war or something. Johnny, he was totally zen though. You know, obviously the caffeine just doesn't get him, or maybe he doesn't drink coffee. Who knows?
I mean, he probably doesn't drink any more coffee than. I mean, this is the interesting. Like when people ask, when I say like I'm a beer writer or whatever, and people go, "Oh my god," you know, one of the main questions I get is, "How are you so thin?" And I'm like, "Well, firstly, not that thin anymore, but secondly, I don't actually drink more beer probably than your average person. I just drink more different beers."
Exactly.
And maybe have a couple of samples throughout the day, although that's getting increasingly rare as well. So he probably just has 1 or 2 coffees a day, absolute max. Although we had 3 while we were there.
How many coffees do you think James Hoffman has a day?
See, he's got a similar demeanour, doesn't he?
He's very
calm as well.
His voice is incredible.
I think that's part of, and all respect to James Hoffman, he is incredible. Like one of the best sort of technical YouTubers in the world. But also, I think part of his success is just how calming and kind of Moorish his presentation style is. Mm-hmm. It's just like a warm bath.
Agreed. A warm bath in milky coffee, Johnny.
Yeah,
milky,
that's what it is.
milky green coffee.
So I leapt at the chance of putting him into the video, not only because I love him and I love his content and because he has a silky voice, but also because he hates coffee beer. And I'm going to email him actually and be like, hey, hope you're doing well. We managed to, because I asked him, we did a podcast together a couple of years ago, and I asked him, would you like to help us out doing a coffee beer? And he was like, I've never had a coffee beer I've enjoyed, so I'm going to decline that very kind invitation.
Lols.
But I've managed to sneak him into one anyway. So yeah, take that, Hoff. Thanks for everything you do. You're amazing. So we were at Standout Coffee, having a great time, and then we went and tasted the beer. And the beer was, I would say, kind of almost the opposite of the homebrew in that it had the cinnamon and the vanilla, but it slightly lacked the coffee.
Yes.
Whereas your homebrew
did.
version had the coffee, but none of the cinnamon.
Well, the direct correlation there is how expensive the ingredients were, right? So in our homebrew, the cinnamon was very expensive, and the coffee was expensive too, but it was more traditional roasty coffee, wasn't it? Whereas this
it was almost identical in style. They were both Brazilian heavily roasted coffees. Yeah.
Didn't come across in Brad's Breakfast though, the commercial Brad's Breakfast.
No.
And are we blaming the fancy ass coffee?
I mean, people are in the comments. They're saying you should have taken the cinnamon approach, right? Which is, the cheaper the coffee, the more sort of... Because I guess when people are expecting coffee in a beer, they're expecting that big, roasty walk into a cafe kind of aroma.
Yes.
Which, and we'd selected that coffee because we wanted some of that because it was going to complement everything else that was going on with that beer. But I don't think it was the expensive coffee because, like I say, we'd chosen one that would still present that. I think maybe a little bit of process tweak or quantity tweak or something might have really amped it up. But I also probably think that the quantities, and I need to find out the quantities from Henok, he may have dialed it down a little bit because we'd chosen a big coffee, So, I mean, Henok will be the first to tell you that you never get a recipe right the first time. And, he still tweaks Noah and all of these almost decade-old recipes. So it was... we got very, very lucky, I think, with all of our collabs in that all of them came out as very good beers, which isn't always the case. But, I mean, they could have all done with a certain amount of tweaking. Probably the closest we got to perfection was the Beak.
Beak was
or actually the Lost and Grounded was pretty special.
Yes.
Actually, related to that news, it's almost confirmed. It's penciled in that we'll be doing a New England IPA version of Short Shorts, the New England Pale we did with Baron for the festival. So we're hopefully going to be brewing that in April. Jack and I are having a chat about the recipe at the moment, and he's confirming dates. So that'll be exciting content coming at you probably in May, and maybe we'll try and do an event to launch that somewhere, a bit like we did with the Brad's Breakfast.
It's not going to be called Short Shorts, is it? It's getting tweaked, the name.
Like long shorts, board shorts,
board shorts. I think you told me.
Board shorts.
Do we all have to wear shorts if we have a festival?
Yes.
Like those winter men that wear shorts throughout winter. Strange beings.
No, well, it'll be May by the time it comes out, so we should be okay.
True. Okay.
We should be okay. We've already mentioned some comments, but related to what we talk about, Adam Robinson 3929 said, "I love how honest Brad and Johnny are when they taste their collab beers. They're the first to point out where ingredients are not singing as much as they'd hoped, or where flavors aren't quite balanced. Their honesty, attention to detail, and desire to create the perfect brew is what keeps me coming back for more. I'm here for the quest." Thank you very much, Adam. We like to think we are always honest about everything on the channel, because if we're not, then we just become PR for beer rather than journalists is a strong word.
Beer educators, beer
educators, yeah,
educators.
And we're also here for the quest. If we'd said that was a great beer, we might not have learned anything from it. We want to dig in and see what's wrong and what's right and learn from it. Because I do want to make pastry stouts again someday. They're a nightmare to make, particularly when you're trying to film it. But one day I'll find the time just to make a pastry stout for myself. Take a bit of me time, bit of pastry time, and I'll have learnt from that brew with Hennock and from the home brew as well, what to do. And I've learned a lot from that particular brew. And also we did a brew for International Homebrew Day when we did a big adjunct stout. The recipe was from what are they called, the Texan brewery, Weathered Souls. And the 3-hour boil on that one really helped the beer. So longer boils are definitely the way to go if you want big, sweet, dark beer. That's what I've learned. Any other comments, Briders?
We've got a pretty epic comment. I'm not sure if I can read it all. From Daiki Debelisi. I've read out your comments before. Please change your name to something slightly easier.
Daiki Debelisi.
Yeah. It's very, very difficult. Anyway, a bit like cinnamon, I find best coffee flavour comes from crappy dark roast Turkish style coffee. Anyway, here's a poem about bounties. So they're talking about Bounty chocolate bars, which
Are you going to read the poem?
They're an atrocity, Johnny. They're an abomination to nature, and they're a shameful British confectionery creation. I'll let you read it, Johnny, because I'm dyslexic.
Okay, here we go. In wrappers of deceit, Bounty bars lie. With promises of joy, they bid us try. But beneath the guise of coconut sweet lurks a texture so vile, a horrid deceit. Each bite a torment, a wretched affair, as teeth sink into the grainy despair. No smooth delight, just gritty dismay, in every morsel joy fades away. Oh, Bounty, thy taste a bitter sting, a texture so repulsive, a confectionery sin. So let me be free from thy coconut snare. No more shall I suffer, no more shall I bear. Bounty, farewell, with disgust I depart, for in thy texture lies thy foul, rotten heart.
I mean, it's beautiful, Johnny. I think it's my favourite YouTube comment we've ever got. In all seriousness, we get when we do live shows, we get someone on something fan club who always does a poem live in the comments.
Are they not the same? Are they different people?
It's different people,
We've
mate.
got rival poets in the comment section now.
We
Good
do.
Lord.
But that other person is something fan club. I can't remember what they're called. But they're incredible as well. Incredible poet. But this bounty is just full of such a rich bounty of beautiful, disgusting, vile imagery. It's you sort of recounted a bit like Robbie Burns style there, which I enjoyed a lot.
I was going more for Chaucerian, Old English pronunciation.
Yeah, sort of lots of
yeah, just like that.
kind of noises and stuff. Yeah, you were doing something anyway, which I liked a lot. I would have preferred it if you'd done it in a slightly more pirate kind of tone.
Okay. The other one I considered is going a bit Garth Marenghi.
Oh, that could have worked too.
In wrappers of deceit. Sort of
or Alan Partridge could have been good as well.
In wrappers of deceit. Yeah, could have gone that way too. That's when you know it's good writing. You can try it in multiple voices and it still carries.
I mean, it's incredible, Johnny. Hands down, I think my best poetic comment we've ever had. Other than Barry... I wish I knew what his name was. I can't remember. Barry something fan club. I think
you do the research between now and next week, and we'll dig out and give them a shout out as well. If there's any other budding poets, feel free, and I will read them. If they're good poems, I will read them. You could even say what voice you want. That might be a terrible precedent.
Wouldn't it be great to have poems on the back of beers? Has anyone ever done that? Poems on the back of beers, mate. So it's like a little art thing.
They must have done. I opened my award-winning book, A Year in Beer, with a poem. Self-penned.
You're a poet and you know it. Did you, when you've done any readings, do you read that in a Chaucerian manner?
I don't do readings from my books. I think it's pretty cheesy when you do that. It's like, just read the book. I'll give you I tend to tell the stories that didn't make the book.
I went to
Well,
watch a film this week called American Fiction about literary types and book readings and being, real and all this kind of stuff. So, there's book reading scenes in it which are really funny. But it's I'd recommend it. I'm not going to tell you any more about it, but it's about authors in America, black authors in America, essentially. American Fiction. It's very good, very, very good.
I might have to add that to my list. Yeah. Right, where are we? What have we got left to talk about? That's it.
Is that it?
We've reached the end of our podcast. In fact, all that's left to say is that we have the glassware episode that got a very brief mention before the Blue WKD repeated on us all. So next week we are asking the question, does glassware matter when it comes to beer? Yes. Right. Spoiler alert. It does, but it's a more nuanced conversation than that, and definitely not just an advert to sell our glass.
Definitely not.
Definitely not just that. That comes out next week. Little fact about this video. It is a video, the first video, I think, in possibly a year that comes in at under 20 minutes. God
damn, Johnny. We were on fire that day, mate. We absolutely nailed that one.
No derailments. No hopelessly inflated content. Just all killer, no filler. Under 20-minute content. Everybody else in the world does that. Yeah. Oh, I found the last one. The last one that was under 20 minutes was... it was July last year. You're pouring your beer wrong with Redeem.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
That was 18. And did extremely well. Sat there at 120,000 views. So it's almost as if everything everyone says about keeping your videos under, I think 17 minutes is the golden number, will help your reach. But yeah, I mean, we just released two of them over 20. And maybe that's why one's stuck on 12. Who knows? But yeah, anyway, next week is our glassware video. We're very looking forward to showing you that one and having a conversation about glassware afterwards. I think the comments are going to be wild under that one.
Big time.
I'm hoping so anyway. Join us for that next week on Wednesday, and we'll be back for another Friday 5 p.m, including the wonderful poetry of Someone Fan Club. Love and beer.
The Bubble and Friday 5pm podcasts are brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's craft beer channel. You can watch over 400 mini documentaries at youtube.com/the craft beer channel, and if you love what we do, support us via Patreon and get access to merchandise and our amazing Discord forum, a positive and welcoming space for everyone who loves beer, food and homebrewing. Love and beer.